This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Agen Erev Shabbos Motzai. This is a special shiur to get a better appreciation of Churban Beis HaMikdash and the role that Shabbos and Motzai Shabbos plays in the Churban. If we take a look and we analyze one of the great tefillos that are part of our liturgy, which is called Kabbalas Shabbos, green light on, we'll notice something quite incredible. We know that Kabbalas Shabbos was composed more than 450 years ago through Kedoshei Elyon, one of the great Gedolim of Tzfas, namely Rav Shlomo Alkabetz, in a generation of all-time great Gedolim, the Ari, and the Beis Yosef, and many Gedolim who were alive in that time. And if the Mizmar, with which we're Makabel Shabbos, has become pretty widespread in almost all of Klal Yisrael, and that is L'chadoidi. The way we're Makabel Shabbos is L'chadoidi, across Kala, Pnei Shabbos, and the Kabbalah. If you actually pay attention to the words and think about the meaning of the words, which usually it takes people like their entire lifetime to actually wake up and say, hey, I should actually think about what I'm saying, we would notice that the vast majority of this tefillah has absolutely nothing to do with Shabbos. It's mamish pilei plam. The first three stanzas, l'chadoidi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabla. Okay, one for one. We're batting 1,000. Shamar v'zachar b'diber achad, yishmiyanu kelam yuchad, Hashem achad, Shmei achad. Okay, we talk about Shabbos also in the Aseret HaDibros, Shamar v'zachar b'diber achad. Then we say l'kras Shabbos l'chu v'nelcha ki hi mekar habracha. Okay, 3 for 3, right? This is a great Hall of Fame tefillah right now. Then all of a sudden, Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha, Beis HaMikdash of the king, kingly city. What is stanza number 4 about? Yerushalayim. Then we say, Yerushalayim, shake yourself off from the dust. Wear the glorious garments of my people. Through David Beis Halachmi. Also, nothing to do with Shabbos. David HaMelech, Geula, 3 for 5. Hisoyri, Kiva Oirech Kumeri, Uri, Shiur Daberi. Sing! Obviously a paraphrase of the pasuk of Shiras Devaira. Uri, Shiur. Sing! Does that have anything to do with Shabbos? No, 3 for 6. Loi se voishi, veloi si komi, ma tishtoichachi, uma temi. Does that have anything to do with Shabbos? Who should not be embarrassed? It's a pasuk in Navi, Yerushalayim. V'ha'yulim shisa shaysayach. Yosis olayach alakom zazchasna akala. Who's that? Yerushalayim. Also, nothing to do with Shabbos. Yomin usmal tifroitzi. You should expand to the west and the east. Who's that? Who should expand? Yerushalayim. So far we had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stanzas. The first 3 about Shabbos, and the next 6 have absolutely nothing to do with Shabbos. Until Boi v'shalom ateres balo, we make a good comeback. This way, all the people who are farshlufen wake up. Oh, Kabbalas Shabbos, and people don't even realize that the vast majority of the tefillah has absolutely nothing to do with Shabbos. Haloi davarhu. What's going on over here? Why do we say a whole tefillah to be Makabel Shabbos? That's absolutely nothing to do with Shabbos. I mean, why don't we sing about Tu B'Shvat while we're at it? Why don't we do, I don't know what. Okay, you get the point. What does this have to do with anything? Very critical Gemara in Tainus, which is very relevant for this year. The Gemara says in Daf Chavtes, Barishaina, the first time the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Oisai Hayayim, on that day, Erev Tisha B'Av Haya, Motzai Shabbos Haya. That the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Motzai Shabbos. Motzai Shviyas Haya. It was right after Shemitah. The famous rule of the Maharal is, Devarim Gedolim Einam B'Mikra. Great things are never coincidental. Why is the Gemara telling us that the Beis HaMikdash occurred on Motzai Shabbos? Of what significance? Is it happens to be the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed on Motzai Shabbos? Or is there something inherent about Motzai Shabbos that allowed the Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed? Says the Holy Maharal in the Netzach Yisrael Parak Ches, the Beis HaMikdash had to be destroyed Motzai Shabbos because there are 2 times of the week. There's headed toward Shabbos, and then there's headed away from Shabbos. So long as you are headed toward Shabbos, you can't have destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Destruction of the Beis HaMikdash is only possible when you're taking leave of Shabbos, and therefore the Beis HaMikdash needed to be destroyed on Motzai Shabbos. Meaning, there's only one time of the week where we're susceptible to Churban, when we're moving away from. But so long as we're headed towards, you can't have Churban. Therefore, says the Maharal, Nekach, Muchan Motzai Shabbos l'Churban. Shekol hayomim nimnim l'Shabbos. Every day of the week, hayom yom rishon l'Shabbos. Hayom yom lish. We're always counting toward Shabbos. There's only one small window of the week where we're escorting the Shabbos away. That's Motzai Shabbos. Shekol hayomim nimnim l'Shabbos. Shenem shachim v'darchen el hamenucha v'el ha'hashlama. They're drawn and you're stepping toward completion. Chutz miyom aleph, except for Motzai Shabbos shenikru yitziyah min ha-Shabbos. Similarly, Motzai Shmita. Shmita is also called a Shabbos. Therefore, the Churban had to occur during the period of Motzai Shabbos. Says the Sefer Shuvi V'Nechza. Shuvi V'Nechza are the Mamorim of Hagoin, Rav Moshe Shapiro, one of the great Balei Machshava, the last Dar, explaining this Maharal, that there's only one time which is Yotzim Min HaKlal, which is called Motzai Shabbos. This time is to be Malava, the Shabbos. This time leaves the Shabbos and doesn't head toward the Shabbos, and that's why there was Churban then. The truth is, we see that throughout the Chumash and throughout Tanakh, there are two inyanim that are always linked together: Beis HaMikdash and Shabbos. For example, in Parshas Kisisa, where the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Moshe, look, Re'ei Karasi V'Shem, see, I have appointed by name B'Tzal ben Uri ben Chol Mata Yehuda, and it lists all the donations for the Mishkan, and then immediately following, V'Yimar Shem Moshe Lemar, V'Yata Dabra B'nei Yisrael Lemar, Achas Shabsoi Sai Tishmayro. So the linkage of the mitzvah of Binyan HaMikdash and the mitzvah of Shmir HaShabbos. Vayakel also. Sheish Yom Te'asim Malach V'yim Ashvi Yelchem Kosh Shabbos Shabbos N'Savaru Eish, and immediately somehow we see from all this there is obviously a connection between Shmir HaShabbos and Binyan HaMikdash. If every time the Torah always juxtaposes the Binyan HaMishkan with Shmiras Shabbos, Haloi Davarhu, there must be a reason. Again, the Maharal is uncovering to us that the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash is only possible when you're moving away from. That means the Binyan is only possible when you're headed toward. So we see this linkage and this connection between Beis HaMikdash and Shabbos. Let me point out something. It's Mamish Oyom V'Noira. There are two times in Tehillim David HaMelech poses the most difficult question in life. The question that all the great minds have probed and analyzed, and that is the question of Tzaddik V'Ralai, Rasha V'Tovlai. The most difficult question in existence, the question that all the great minds have been plagued by, Madua Derech Risham Tzelecha. Why was the tzaddik ne'avad? These are the two questions that we don't have the answer for. Twice David HaMelech poses this question. One in Parak Ayin Gimel and one in Parak Tzaddik Beis. Look in Parak Ayin Gimel. Third pasuk. Va'ani kemat, second pasuk. Kemat natoyu raglai. It was like my legs almost gave way from under me. Ki kinesi b'hoilalim. Shalom Risham era, when I see the peace of the wicked. Ki ein chartzuba islamaisam. I don't see that they have the recompense. They speak Yamiku vidabru bara oishak mimar midaberu. Shatu vashamayim piyam l'shem tech ba'aretz. They set their mouth against the heavens. They say Eicha yada ke'al v'yesh de'ah ve'el yain. Look how tranquil the wicked are. Look how much peace they have. And me, I'm a tzaddik for nothing. For what? To live like an ani? I try to figure this out. Amal hu be'enai. It doesn't make any sense, David HaMelech says. David HaMelech is posing the question of world existence. Tzadik v'raloi. Rasha v'toivloi. I try to understand. Look at Rashi number 9. V'achazhu b'libi l'das zois. Mahi midasu shal kodesh baruch hu kein. Hu amel be'enai. It looks like there's less din, less dayan, chas v'shalom. This is the question of David HaMelech. By the way, where else does David pose this question? In number 10, Tehillim Parak Tzadik Beis, David HaMelech says, Ishbar lo yedach siloi of an. The empty person doesn't know, the fool doesn't understand. By the way, if you look in Ayin Gimel, the way it ends, Vani var v'lo yeda. I'm a fool. Behemoy sayisi imach. The same lashon that David uses in Kapitel Tzadik Beis. He says, Ishbar lo yedach siloi of an azois. Bifroi achrishoyim k'mo yesev. That the wicked flourish like grass. Vayatzitzu kol poilei oven. Lihishamdam adeyad. David put it in Tehillim. Yeah, David wrote everything in Tehillim. Sure, he wrote it. If he didn't write it, it wouldn't be in Tehillim. Doesn't mean he's the original person who wrote, but he wrote it into Tehillim. If not for him, it wouldn't be in Tehillim. It has Kedushas Tehillim because David HaMelech wrote it, divinely inspired. So look, you have 2 times in Tehillim David HaMelech is plagued by the question. One in Ayin Gimel, he says, Ki kinesi v'hoilim shalom risham era. And one time in Tzadik Beis, he says, B'frach risham k'mayetza v'yatzitzu kol payalei oven. What's amazing is, in both of these kapitlach, he gives an answer. In Kapitel Ayin Gimel, you know what he says? He says, Achashva ladas, I try to understand, Ad ovay al mikdash shekel avino lachris, until I got into the Beis HaMikdash and I understood what the end would be. That I was bothered by these questions until I took one step and entered the Beis HaMikdash. And then, all my questions were answered. The same thing in Tzadik Beis. He asks this question, but he says no. He says, Vatorem Kareim Karni Baloshamna. I saw straight that Tzadik Katamar Yifrach, that Tzadikim will flourish eventually. They will be Oidinuvim Beseva. How did he come to this conclusion? He came to this conclusion, Mizmar Shiur Liyom HaShabbos Toiv L'Hodes Hashem. Don't get back down by the question of B'frach Rishon K'may Esav, because in this world, the only good thing is to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to sing to His name. Twice in Tehillim, David poses the question of Tzadik V'Raloi. Both times, but they're 2 different answers. Answer number 1 is Ad Avoi L'Mikdash Sheyel Avino Lachrisam. Answer number 1 is until get to the Mikdash, and answer number 2 is until Shabbos comes. How interesting. How interesting it is when we see that the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash is only possible Motzai Shabbos, and therefore the binyan is only possible when you're headed toward Shabbos. How interesting it is in Parshas Kisisa, the 2 mitzvos are given together. How interesting Parshas Vayakel, the 2 mitzvos are given together. How interesting that when David HaMelech poses the question, the answer seems to be until I get to the Mikdash, until Shabbos comes. Look at number 12. What we're learning is then, if the Gemara is emphasizing that the Churban was only possible at Shabbos, because only when you're taking leave of Shabbos is Churban possible. What's the explanation for that? Why is it that the Beis HaMikdash is only possible to be destroyed Motzai Shabbos, but as the Beis HaMikdash, as Shabbos is coming, Churban is not possible? So here's the idea, here's the concept. This is a concept that Rabbi Moshe Shapiro brings out from all of these sources. It's a concept that the Nesiva Shalom also says. If you look at number 30 in the Sefer of Hareinu B'Vinyanai, we know that if you look at the word Bereshis Bar Leikim, Bereshis, the Tikkunei Zayar says, is Oisi Ois Yarei Shabbos. You have to fear the Shabbos. Fear the Shabbos. I thought it says Umikdashai Tiro. That's right. We're going to see there are two things you have to fear. You fear the Shabbos and you fear the Mikdash. Es Shabsoisai Tishmoiru Umikdashai Tiro. By the way, it's a Gemara in Yevamos, if you look at number 21. Why does the Torah juxtapose Es Shabsoisai Tishmoiru Umikdashai Tiro? I would think a person should be afraid of the Beis HaMikdash. So it says Es Shabsoisai Tishmoiru. It says Shmira by Shabbos and it says Moira by the Mikdash. Just like the Shmira by Shabbos is, you're not afraid of Shabbos, you're afraid of the one who commanded about the Shabbos. So too, when it comes to fear of the temple, you're not afraid of the temple, but you're afraid of the one who warned on the temple. What is Moira Mikdash? A person can't go onto the Harabayas with his staff, with his shoe, with his money belt. Can't make it a shortcut. I would think only Bizmat Beis Mikdash Kayam. How do I know that there's a mitzvah of Moira Mikdash even Bizman Hazeh? Because it juxtaposes it to Shmira Shabbos. Ma Shmira Shabbos la'olam, af Moira Mikdash la'olam. So where do we learn out fearing the temple from? Shabbos. So interesting. You know why? You know what the idea is? There's a concept in Jewish thought, Ashan, Olam, Shana, Nefesh. Which means that there are parallels of time and space. What is the parallel to the Zman of Shabbos in space? The Zman, the time, is Shabbos. And what place in the world corresponds to Shabbos? The Beis HaMikdash, Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim and the Mikdash in space is what Shabbos is in time. Therefore, we understand, you can only have destruction of Yerushalayim when you're moving away from Shabbos. Because moving away from Shabbos is moving away from the Mikdash. Memela, you can only have Binyan Abayis when you're headed toward. So there's a linkage between time and space. For example, the time is Yom Kippur, the space is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And in person also, and the person is the Kohen Gadol. What Shabbos is in time, the Mikdash is in Makayim. Therefore, the Churban is only possible when you're moving away. Now we know there's a halacha when it comes to Shabbos. You need to be mitzapeh for Shabbos. You need to be miyachel for Shabbos. We all know, the Rambam writes, look in Parak Lamed, halacha Aleph, number 13. There are four things that were stated about Shabbos. Two min ha-Torah, two midivrei Sofrim. Min ha-Torah, zachar v'shamar. Midivrei neviim, kavod v'oineg. What is kavod? Take a shower. Wash your hands and feet in hot water. Umisatef b'tzitzis v'yoyshev b'koyved roish. Miyachel hakbalas pnei ha-Shabbos. Hoping and yearning for the coming of Shabbos. Like someone who goes out to greet a king. There's a mitzvah of tzipiyah l'Shabbos. Yearning for Shabbos. The Chachamim Arishonim would gather their Talmidim Erev Shabbos, wrap themselves, and they say, Boi v'neitzei likras Shabbos hamelech. What else do we have? We're required not only to perform, but to await and yearn. The Rambam writes, V'chol mi she'enoi mamin boi, oy mi she'enoi mechake l'biyasoi. Anyone who does not await Melech HaMashiach is not only a koifer b'shar neviim, but is a koifer in the Torah. You need to be miyachel to the Melech HaMashiach. You need to be miyachel to the Melech of Shabbos. We need to be miyachel for the Melech of Shabbos. You need to yearn for it. Why? Why just because I yearn for Mashiach do I need to yearn for Shabbos? Because they go hand in hand. The same way the Beis HaMikdash could only be destroyed out of Shabbos, so too the Beis HaMikdash could only be built in toward Shabbos. Therefore, just like we await the coming of Mashiach, we await the coming of Shabbos. And now, says Rabbi Moshe Shapiro, what we learn from here is a tremendous ha'ara that I would like to strengthen as halacha l'maisa. That if the Churban is only shayach on the outtake of Shabbos, That means we are now obligated on the intake of Shabbos to await and yearn the coming of Mashiach. Halacha l'maisa. We know that the Gemara says that after 120, a person will be asked, did you await the salvation? Well, when do we do that? When do we fulfill that? You know when we fulfill that? If the outtake of Shabbos is a time of Churban, that means at the time of the greeting of Shabbos, it's the time of great yearning for the coming of Mashiach. Now we understand Kabbalas Shabbos. You never understood it one time in your whole life. What's the whole Kabbalas Shabbos about? Tzipisa Yeshua. Tzipisa Yeshua. Who says he can't come on Shabbos? Eliyahu can't come on Shabbos. Mashiach could come on Shabbos if Eliyahu came Friday. But Mashiach is not precluded from coming on Shabbos.
Does that mean that if the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built only...
No, it doesn't mean anything. All it means is that if the destruction is only possible Motzai Shabbos, that means the time of the leave of Shabbos, the time of Churban, that means we need to create the time of the intake of Shabbos as a great yearning for the coming of Mashiach. Let me read to you his words, so I don't want to dilute this. Look at number 15. He says... Elamash Lamdunu, Rabbi Moshe Shapiro writes, Bezeh hu ha'ara she'atzisi lahoyer. V'nirali she'kedai la'amitz aseh kahalacha l'maisa. V'harei kivan da'ashma'inon b'gemara. If the Gemara teaches us that the Churban is needed b'matzai Shabbos, that means when we're leaving Shabbos, mischayiv mizeh shebizman she'anu holchim likras ha'Shabbos, Mutal aleinu letzapois liyeshua. This is b'diyuk, the zman. If the outtake of Shabbos is the zman Churban, the intake of Shabbos is zman binyan. It's the time of tzipia liyeshua. This is the entire Kabbalas Shabbos. If you don't know this, you never had a meaningful Kabbalas Shabbos in your life. So now let's explain. I'm going to explain to you the entire L'chadoidi right now. So we start Kabbalas Shabbos. We're greeting the Shabbos, no question. L'chadoidi kras kala, shamar v'zachar b'dibur echad, l'kras Shabbos, l'chu v'nelcha, ki makar bracha. But the thing is, Rabbi Motzai, together with the binyan Beis Hamikdash, there are a few things that we need. Number one, what do we need? We need Malchus Beis David. We need Malchus Beis David. As Chazal tell us that when Tzidkiyahu, when he was having his eyes poked out, Chazal criticized him. He should have taken the guy and bashed his head against the wall and killed him. How do you allow the Malchus Beis David just to go down in smokes like that? Malchus Beis David is the vehicle with which the Malchus Shamayim is recognized in the world. David is the Regel Ravi of the Kisei HaKavod. Avram is one, Yitzchak is two, Yaakov is three, but without the Regel Ravi, the whole chair topples over. David HaMelech is the vehicle through which promotes Malchus Shamayim in the world. We say in Kiddush Levana, the pasuk in Hosea, Uvikshu es Hashem Elokeim as David Malkam. Imagine we say, God, they should seek you out, and they should seek out a good pizza store. Can you imagine we say in one breath, God, they should seek you out, and David. In the same breath, you say they should seek out God and David. The answer is, without David, you have no revelation of God in this world. Therefore, we daven for Shabbos, but then immediately we say, Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha, Kumitzi Mitay Chafecha. Once we're yearning for Shabbos, God, restore, resurrect, Mikdash Melech. And who do we daven for? We daven immediately for the restoration of Malchus Beis David. Why are we daven for the restoration of Malchus David? Because now we're headed into Shabbos. If out of Shabbos is the destruction, we have to know that with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, we lost a lot of goodies. Goodie number one is we lost Malchus Beis David. Therefore, the first thing we pray for is rebuild Yerushalayim. Mikdash Melech, Mikdash, sanctuary of the king, Ir Melucha, kingly city, get up from the ashes. You've been weeping in the valley of Emek Halacha long enough. Therefore, Hisnari Me'afar, shake yourself up from the dust, Yerushalayim. When you daven Kabbalas Shabbos, your focus is on Jerusalem. Get up, live Shi Bigdei Sefar Techami. Through who? Al Yad Ben Yishai. What does David HaMelech got to do with Shabbos? Everything. Because toward Shabbos is toward Binyan, and the Churban brought Churban Malchus Beis David toward Shabbos then brings restoration of Malchus Beis David. If you never thought about David HaMelech Friday night, Loi Hispalel Kabbalas Shabbos Miyamav. That's the whole purpose of a Kabbalas Shabbos. David HaMelech, this is the time of the restoration of Malchus Beis David. Next stanza. What else did we lose when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed? We lost the concept of Nevuah. The Gemara says in Baba Basra Daf Yud Beis Amar Rav Avdimi Dimin Chaifa Miyam Shechara Beis HaMikdash Nitla Nevuah Min HaNeviim V'Nitna L'Chachamim. Prophecy was lost. That's why Rabbi say, if you pay attention to the next stanza, you don't have to have any idea what Kabbalas Shabbos is about. You could choose to be a completely meaningless, observant or non-observant Jew. But if you want to actually have a meaningful observance of Judaism, then you need to know this. The next stanza, Hisayri, wake up. Who should wake up? Who should wake up? Me! What should I wake up with? Who said the words wake up, wake up? Does anybody know? Whoever said those words? Uri. Now, I know that the words say in the tefillah. I want to know, who said the words Uri? Devaira. Remember in the Shiur of Devaira? She calls out to the people, everyone praise God. Anyone riding the right donkey, wake up. And she included all of mankind. She said, "Kumikol mechatzitzin bein meshavim, tzidkos Hashem pirzayna b'Yisrael." But then, when it comes to Shiur, who knows what Shiur is? Shiur is Nevuah. Who could sing Shiur? You think what they play, what they construe, they come up with today is Shiur? That ain't no Shiur. Shiur is prophecy. For prophecy, you need to arouse your soul. So Devaira said, Uri, Devaira, Uri. When you see the words in Kabbalas Shabbos, Uri, you have to know this is a reference to the arousal of Nevuah. Why are we davening that we should become Nevi'im Friday night? Because if on the outtake of Shabbos is Churban. Churban means we lost Malchus Beis David. We lost Nevuah. Then Friday night you need to daven for the restoration of Nevuah. And if you don't pray for the restoration of Nevuah, Lo Hispalala Kabbalas Shabbos Miyamav. That's the next stanza. So first we daven Mikdash Melech, rebuild Yerushalayim. Then we say Al Yad Ben Yishai, restore David. Then we say, God, we still have a few more goodies we're after. Please restore the Nevuah. Hisayri, arouse Klal Yisrael with the institution of Nevuah. Uri, Shiur. That's why Devaira, when it came to Shiur, she's talking to herself. She said, Uri, Devaira. She can't tell the rest of the Jews to sing Shiur. They're not Nevi'im. If you're not a Navi, you can't sing Shiur. You could sing rap, you could sing reggae, you could sing Zydeco, you could sing every brand of music in the world. But you can't sing Shiur. Shiur is Nevuah. V'hainu mishum sheshir efshar loymar ach v'rak b'nevuah. Yeah, you want to sing a Shiur? You want to take a pasuk from Tehillim? Very nice. Therefore, Kabbalas Shabbos, we say, God, we're receiving the Shabbos, which is the Zman, Keneged the Makam HaMikdash. Mikdash Melech, Yerushalayim, Hisnari, Malchus Beis David, Uri is Nevuah. Then we say, God, we're not done. We're not letting you off easy now. Mikdash is not enough. Malchus Beis David is not enough. Nevuah is not enough. What about Yerushalayim? Yerushalayim is all ashamed. It's all embarrassed. Look at number 20. Doesn't the Navi Yeshaya says that Yaakov, you won't be embarrassed anymore. Right now, Yerushalayim is embarrassed. What does the Navi Yeshaya say in Perek Nun Daled? Al tiri, don't be afraid. Hiloi sevaishi. You won't be embarrassed anymore. Who's embarrassed? An almana is embarrassed. People don't know that. It's embarrassing for an almana. She has to do everything herself. She comes to a wedding. How's she going to get home? She has to ask for a ride. It's embarrassing. Everywhere she goes, she's on her own. It's embarrassing. Her whole life is busha chlima. That's why Yerushalayim is busha chlima. She's an almana. Almana hoisak. Right? She's embarrassed. So the Navi Yeshaya says, she won't be an almana anymore. So the next thing we said, God, we're not done with this. Loisei vaishi, veloisi call me. We want you to restore the glory and the dignity of Yerushalayim. How? We want all of her children to return. Basically, we have a whole laundry list here. We say, God, we want every last thing that was taken away from us. Motzai Shabbos, we want it back. We want the Mikdash back. We want David back. We want Nevuah back. We want the glory of Yerushalayim back. But we're not done, God. We're far from done. Because, you promised us, Yerushalayim used to be like the Tel Shekol Piv Apoinimei Love, that everybody faced. Yerushalayim was like the center of the world. In fact, we have a promise that Yerushalayim will actually fill up, the Beis HaMikdash will fill up Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim will take up the whole Eretz Yisrael, like it says in the Tefillah, Yerushalayim Beis Mikdashcha, Yerushalayim your Beis HaMikdash. Yerushalayim is not the Beis HaMikdash. No, because the Yalkut Shimoni writes in number 23 that Amar Rab Levi, Asida Yerushalayim Liyos Keretz Yisrael, the Eretz Yisrael Kachal Ha'olam Kulai. Some people actually use this as a justification that I don't have to go to Eretz Yisrael because Eretz Yisrael is going to come to me. Because one day, Queens is going to be Eretz Yisrael. The thing is, you're losing out because you're not going to be in Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is going to be the Mikdash. So you say, so I don't have to move to Yerushalayim. No. Well, if you live in Yerushalayim, you're going to be the Mikdash. Because the Mikdash will expand to Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim will expand to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael will expand to the whole world. In fact, in Shiur Rabbah, look at number 24, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Asida Yerushalayim Shetei Magas Ad Sharei Damasek. Jerusalem will reach the gates of Damascus. When? Where do we see this? The pasuk says, V'nivna Sa'ir Altila, the Navi Yirmiyah says. Look at number 25. You know where this was learned out from? Kayamar Hashem Hishav Shvos Olei Yakim Mishkanaz Arach V'nivna Sa'ir Altila. We say, God, we're not done yet. We're not satisfied until Yerushalayim is not embarrassed, Yerushalayim is not ashamed, and you expand Yerushalayim all the way to Damascus. I want Eretz Yisrael to fill the world. How's that going to happen? Oh, look at number 26. The Navi Yeshaya says, Harchivi, mekayma halech, v'riyahis mishkanai sa'ayech, yatu al tachsoichi, ha'arichi meisarayech, v'seidoi sa'ayech, chazeki. When will this happen? Ki aminu smal tifroitzi. We're going to expand. We're going to burst forth. Yamin to the right, small to the left. We say, God, we're not done. We're not finished until the binyan happens. When Yamin or small tifroitzi, when Eretz Yisrael expands. What's this got to do with Kabbalas Shabbos? Everything in the world. So you have to realize, every Kabbalas Shabbos, you need to pray. Restoration of Yerushalayim, number 1. Restoration of Malchus Beisau, number 2. Restoration of Nevuah, number 3. The glory of Yerushalayim being returned, number 4. And number 5, the expansion of Yerushalayim. And when will this happen? Ba'i v'shalom, with the acceptance of Shabbos Kodesh, which is the Zman Keneged the Makayim HaMikdash. Baruch shehechiyanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. That's all I could say. To be zoichet to hear this, you have some clue what Kabbalas Shabbos is all about. To understand, it's why is it? Why through Shabbos do we get all of this? So just look very carefully. First, we greet the Shabbos. We say on Shabbos, Hashem gave us Shamra v'Zachar, and then we say Likra Shabbos Chul v'Nelcha Kihi Mekar HaBracha. Shabbos is a source of all blessing. Like the Zayar says, in Nusach Sfard, you say it Friday night, look at number 27. Kol berchan tila'ela v'sata b'yoyma shviya talyan. All blessing, above and below, is dependent on the seventh day. If we are Zaycha, to be meyachel toward Shabbos, to be mitzapeh toward Shabbos, then part and parcel of that. As Moshe Shapiro says, halacha ulamaisa, it's the zman sipia liyeshua. So when you come to shul, whether it's 10 hours early Friday night, an hour early, a half hour early, or l'chol apachos, 2 minutes early Friday night, right? You don't want to be the guy who's, strolling in, Ba'i v'shalom is davening mincha in the ladies section. Well, yeah. Avar zmanai batal karbanai. You want to be there so that as part of your awaiting for Shabbos, you're waiting for the Geula. Marv Rabbi, I thank you so much. In your zechus, we're zeicha to learn this. So therefore, Rabbi Moshe Shapiro writes in number 31, there's a halacha of Moira Mikdash. Even though the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, but still we are nischayev b'moira'ai. And therefore there's certain mode of behavior that we have to maintain. Why? Because we learn it out from Shabbos. Because just like Shabbos is the makar of all bracha, and think about it like this. Why is there still a mitzvah of Moira Mikdash? But the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, but the Shechina is still there. Because we learn it out from Shmir Shabbos. Just like Shmir Shabbos is the Olam, Moira B'Mikdash is Ba'olam. So Rav Moshe Shapiro writes so beautifully. The truth is, you think about it, after all these years, we have nothing left. We have no Mikdash, we have no Urim B'Tumim, we have no Karbanos, we have no Makayim, everything is gone. The only thing that we're left with is Shabbos. But says Rav Moshe Shapiro, the truth is, we still have everything left. Because if we're left with Shabbos, al yedei Kabbalas Shabbos, if on the outtake of Shabbos is a Zman Churban, then the converse is surely true as well. Then the intake of Shabbos lays dormant the possibility for Mikdash Melech, Ir Melucha, Kumitzi Mitachafecha, Hisnari Meyafar Kumi, restoration of Nevuah, and the glory of Yushalayim, may it be returned to its full glory. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.